Hi, I'm Patric Valancourt. I'm a 24-year-old veteran, and I live in this van right here with my husky puppy, Rhea. So about 5 months ago, I got this van because I had no other option. It was either live on the streets, unfortunately, or get a van to live in. I'm currently on. I don't work. I've been diagnosed with PTSD, anxiety, and depression from the military, and so I'm on like military disability. And unfortunately, it's not really the best money, but it is what it is, and that's how the government works. So I'm like pretty grateful that I'm still able to get, not only emotional support from them, but also financial support. And so I got this van at the start of the summer. I renovated it pretty much all myself. During the summer, I did the wall paneling in the parking lot of Home Depot with a handsaw. And then I ran a drill off of solar. People thought I was pretty weird. I think it's pretty weird, but it's van life. Built the bed. This is the second bed I've built. Just like everything's done by hand. No planning whatsoever. Just winged it, so it's a bit of a mess, but it's funky that way. At some point this summer, I was feeling pretty lonely. Just mental health and all that stuff. And I haven't really talked about this very much, but I was in line to get a service dog. And there's like a whole program that does it free for veterans, and I couldn't wait till next year. And also the commitment for that is very strenuous. Like it's twice a week for a full year. So I got this puppy, Rhea. I had a chat with someone from my support group, and he like jokingly said, "Hey man, if you're that sad, just go get a dog." Well, first he said have a kid as a joke because he has a kid. I was like, well, I mean, like, it kind of takes two to tango. And then he's like, "I'm just kidding, man, get a dog." And so I went home that night and put a deposit on her and decided to go forward with it. And we're just kind of like jumping into it. There hasn't been any planning. I knew when I got the van that at some point I'd be living with the dog, but I thought that was going to be next year, and I didn't really know. So I don't want to get too much into like what I have for the van, because a lot of that is on my channel. But what's important to me is I have solar for electricity. So if it's too hot, I can run a fan for the dog. At nighttime, this is like one of my main necessities is a wood stove. So I always have heat. If I break down, anywhere that I pretty much can be with a van or a vehicle, I can always have access to wood. So that was like a big thing for building around this one particular item. And then a bed was pretty important to me. So I just built like a whole frame type of style and put like a actual, like a mattress in here. So that's pretty important to me. Important for me to have a good sleep, especially with mental health, and physical health. And I think sleep is really important. Just because you're living in a van doesn't mean that you need to sacrifice certain necessities, right? Like food, proper sleep, hygiene, hydration, things like that. So kind of cover all the bases that way. Now, like what's more important for me, aside all of these things, is the journey I'm on. So I've been going through a bit of a rough patch, I guess. Not maybe it is depression recently. Overall, like I do have mental illnesses, which I talk a lot about, and I'm like pretty transparent with that on my channel. But I think there's like some other underlying issues that maybe aren't mental illnesses. I don't know the answers, so I can't really say what it is right now, but I can talk about the journey I'm on. And I'm on this search for happiness with myself and what I'm doing, and I don't know what that's going to mean, where that's going to lead me, but I do know that I'm trying to be a lot more true to myself, and I'm not trying to impress others. I'm not trying to live in a way that isn't how I actually feel. If I feel like having a very calm night, going to like an open mic at a coffee shop and not having alcohol and not doing like my medicinal marijuana, then I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to have like a very calm night, or like a nice walk or hike with the puppy. And I'm on this like soul searching mission to rediscover and like redefine my mental health. And I want to share that. And it's going to be like a weird creative process. I think I do really want to isolate myself for a short period of time, because that's how I hash through creative things for myself. I remember I used to live in Toronto. I rented this apartment, and I had 8 whiteboards everywhere, and I wrote down, this is like before I did social media, and I wrote down all these crazy things of, this is what I want to do on social media, these are my goals in life, and I've achieved them. It's been 2 years, and I've achieved like almost everything that I wrote down. So it's like, I wasn't really connected with spirituality then. Not that I really am right now, but I do believe in the power of, if you set your mind to it, you can achieve it. And so I did go through like a 24-hour a creative process where I just isolated myself in that room, where I was a minimalist. I like lived on the ground. I had a roll-out Japanese futon mattress, and I had no idea that all of these things were going to lead to me living in a van. And it's just like pretty interesting now that I think about it, how all of those actions where I thought, man, my life is like kind of this weird mess right now, turned out to be like this, I'm like a happy mess. I'm really content and grateful for where I am right now. But I do know that there's some things missing, and I want to share that. I want to share my creative process and the answers that I come with, whether that helps others or not, because the process that I go through, it's weird. I go into this trance, and I sing, I dance, I don't know. I just do whatever feels good for me, and there's no standard. It's different every time. And I really want to show that, because I want to show people that it's okay to be you. It's wonderful to be yourself, and when you find true happiness with who you are, life is wonderful. So I'm like on that path right now. So that's what my life is. So one thing that I haven't really done a good job of portraying is the amount of time I've actually been in the van. So this summer when I was renovating it, I was in the van intermittently because I'm in a relationship, and I had somewhere to stay. So I stayed with my girlfriend, and then also renovated the van and would go on these trips. And then I was in the van full time for a start of a trip down to LA and back up, and that was end of October. And since I started that trip, I got back less than a week ago. Since I started that trip, my mental health and just everything in life has been a lot more positive. It's awesome to have my own space with the dog and be in my element. I built this. I put my actual blood, actual sweat, and actual tears, there's been a lot of tears, into this thing, and it's just really rewarding to just be a part of this full time. And it's for me, it's not about waking up at different beaches and stuff like that. It's more about being able to slow my days down, because when you get into a routine, when you get comfortable in a house or apartment, in my experience, you take things for granted. You just get home and you're tired and you just boom, fall asleep on the bed, or you have leftover food in the fridge or freezer, or you just order pizza, and all these simple things that you take for granted. You just go to the bathroom and take a shower whenever you want. All these things you start to take for granted. In a van, though, in my experience, and what's really good for me is the having to plan things out. Like every day is a strategy. Because I have a wood stove with a chimney sticking out, I can't just park anywhere and it's a high top. I have to like be pretty strategic as to where I'm going to stay and where I'm going to cook food. If I'm going to run it off of solar in the van, or if I'm going to use like a butane stove, and am I going to have the doors out, and if it's raining, and just like all these things, where I'm going to shower, where I'm going to like brush my teeth. I can just do that here, but all these things like you take into consideration. When it gets dark when it starts to get dark, I'm like, okay, it's time to actually grind and figure out where I'm going to sleep, because I don't want to be driving around at 1 or 2 in the morning sleep deprived. So all these things about van life is what really helps me, and doing that trip down to LA and back, call it a little vancation, was a really big eye-opener. And since I've been back, I'm so happy. I'm so happy with myself, with mental health, with spending this time with my dog, and just like learning the ins and outs. And like I've got leaks, I've got lots of problems with the van, but I'm happy with it because it's my baby and it's my problems to fix and mine alone. And it's cool to have to like think about all these little things on a day-to-day basis. And yeah, it's awesome. I recommend it for anyone. If you think it's for you, go ahead and do it, because I thought that this was for me without actually knowing about this. I live in a minimalist life, meeting people who live in vans, and I just did it. Hand was a little forced, but I still don't regret any bit of this van journey.
Hey darling, can I tell you what's been on my mind? Sick and tired of the 9 to 5 in the city life. Hey darling, we could get out of town, see the beautiful world around, wanna see it now. Pack our bags and get in